Welcome to the Living a Nordic Life podcast, where we explore a simpler, cosier and more intentional life the Nordic way. I'm Fiona McKenna, your Nordic living guide and founder of Living a Nordic Life, where I share all things Nordic living and show you that a Nordic life is the way to bring intentional calm and healthy habits into your own life, wherever you are in the world. Are you looking for ways to bring simplicity, coziness and calm into your life? Well, let me show you how. Visit the Living a Nordic Life website to explore how I can help you on your journey to simple, healthy and happy calm, the Nordic way. You can subscribe to the podcast right here. And if you want regular inspirational emails sent with love from Norway and straight to your inbox, don't forget to subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters. And so now let's dive into our episode. Let's talk about making life lovely. Making life feel nice and maybe romanticising our lives a little bit. When the holiday season is over, any holiday season, it doesn't matter what it is, we start to put away those pretty decorations, don't we? And the fancy things that make everything a little bit sparkly. And we probably spent a lot of time as well looking on social media and in magazines and on the TV at other people's houses and the way other people live. And we might look a little bit with envy at those people. But creating a beautiful life isn't about having all the things. It's about making the life that you have right now, the life that you're already living, something beautiful and romanticised. Even if we were presented right now with the life that we strive for, the life that we think we want to have, the perfect life, if we can't enjoy what we have now, we wouldn't enjoy that life either. There would be something else that we would want. It's a mindset. It's not about what you have. Creating a lovely life is something that we all want, whether we realise it or not. Your aspirations might be huge, or it might just be having a simple life. But let me tell you that everything you have to make life beautiful is within your grasp, and it is ready for you to turn into a beautiful and lovely life now. You can start today. You have it there within you. This is not some kind of, let's ask the universe for exactly what we want. You have it. So I have 10 ways that you can make life lovely right now. For a start, you can enjoy simple pleasures. This is probably the easiest and the simplest way to make the lives we are already living beautiful, or to make them feel beautiful. It's basically gratitude every day. We need to romance and embrace the beauty of what we already have. Simple pleasures are the simple everyday things that bring us those small moments of joy. Do you know that lovely kind of warm, cosy feeling that you get inside? It might be enjoying using some special crockery, a special cup and saucer, or a beautiful dinner set that was your grandma's, that you keep for best at the back of the cupboard and it gathers dust and it never gets used. Or really appreciating the view that you have on your way to work. Or maybe those quiet moments when you're the first up in the morning and you make your first cup of coffee and you can sit there quietly before the rest of the world wakes up, or the rest of your household if you don't live alone. It's nothing fancy and it's nothing huge, but the simple everyday things that we often overlook. They're beautiful. You could treat yourself once a week. In the Nordics, we have a really specific time to treat ourselves. It's usually once a week, and it's either on a Wednesday or a Saturday. A Wednesday because we've got halfway through the week. Well done us. And a Saturday because it's the weekend. And it's often about saving a special treat for those days and not overindulging all through the week. It's quite often maybe some sweets or a cake or a donut. It's something very simple. We often have sweets on a Saturday. We don't have them any other time of the week. We only have them on a Saturday. If we have them, occasionally I think too much sugar now. Let's have a month without it. I have a friend who always has either a little cake or some cookies or a donut on a Friday to celebrate the end of the week. But we like to live a healthy life the rest of the time, knowing that we're not penalising ourselves. If you have that salad and you're like, oh, I could really do with a chocolate chip cookie after this, you know that by the end of the week you're going to get that chocolate chip cookie. Earn it a little bit. It could be a few candies, some indulgent chocolate, special chocolate. It doesn't have to be the kind of normal, boring stuff. It could be maybe a very small box of really special chocolates. You're going to enjoy those then. Or a trip out to a favourite place. Or it can even be an activity that you look forward to. There aren't any rules. But it is treating yourself once a week. It makes life pretty. You could get outside. Or do get outside, actually. Not you can. Please do go outside. You always hear me talking about this, and I never stop talking about getting outside. In Norway, we're outside every single day. There's no way that you can stay inside. Well, I guess unless you worked from home, but at some point you have to be out. And you probably would be out because everybody else is. Kids at school spend every single break time outside. It doesn't matter whether it's raining. It doesn't matter if it's snowing. It doesn't matter if it's cold. I mean, it has to be really cold. It has to be down to at least minus 15 centigrade for them to not be outside. And even then, it's kind of assessed, you know, they're going to be all right for a little bit. We'll see. If it gets really cold, we'll go inside. But as adults, we should also be doing a little bit of that ourselves. It makes life so much more joyful. We connect with nature. We enjoy some fresh air. And it gives our bodies a feeling of good health. To breathe in that fresh air, to get outside. Even if you live in a city and it's just a patch of grass somewhere, a few trees, the park, that is still a connection to nature. It also raises our base level of happiness and it improves our mood just to be outside. You could make your home welcoming. There's nothing better, is there, than coming home after a long day to a welcoming and beautiful space that you've created yourself. Exactly for you, not for anybody else. I mean, you could get inspiration off wherever, but create it for you. Don't create it because you think somebody else might like that. And it's maybe not something that we can do in a day. You might be able to move a few bits of furniture around, bring a few ornaments out that you haven't used before, get some trinkets out, or some favourite items, something sentimental, or maybe a little bit nostalgic. Nostalgia is good for us as well. That makes us feel happier. But you can take your time with it. It can be a work in progress the whole time. It doesn't have to be completed and fabulous and absolutely spotlessly clean. Make it for you. One of the easiest ways of making a really nice, warm, welcoming home is to change your lighting. Soft, gentle, ambient lighting helps make our homes welcoming straight away. Turn off the big overhead light or strip lights or whatever you've got that's harsh. Think about the harsh lighting. It doesn't really do us any good. Turn it off or turn it down if you've got a dimmer. And put some table lamps around, light some candles if you can, or those electric candles, which are really good. And make everything soft and flickering and warm and ambient. And if you want to read about hygge lighting, that cosy lighting, I've written an article on my website, or there's another podcast episode about that you can listen to and get some ideas for changing the lighting in your house. It's easy, I promise, and I bet you've probably got most of the bits and pieces at home already. It's just a case of turning some lights on and turning some lights off. Simple as that. You can declutter. Now, maybe you're like me. It doesn't seem to matter how many times I declutter. There's always something else to declutter. Where does it come from? I usually have this maxim that if I haven't used it for a year, then I'm probably not going to use it. So unless it's something that's either sentimental or has some nostalgia attached to it, then it can be recycled. And decluttering is a lovely way to bring some space into our lives, not just physically, but mentally as well. It might just be a few old magazines that you want to throw out, or perhaps it's an entire room declutter, or perhaps there's a cupboard that you put things in, you close the door and you think, I'll look at that later. Open that cupboard, pull the things out, sort it out. I bet you find that most of it is just thrown in there and you could tidy it up and put it back and there's space. I did that earlier in the week actually with our mudroom. Our mudroom cupboard was a nightmare. And it's where we put all of our shoes and coats, and especially in the winter because we have so many things. So I pulled out all the summer shoes and the nice shoes because we're not going to wear those. Tidied up the scarves and hats and recycled things and gave things away and put things in those fabric recycling bins to be sent somewhere or turned into rag or whatever it is they do with it. And tidied everything up. And I didn't really get rid of that much, but there seemed to be twice as much space and it felt lovely. And now every time I go in there, I open the cupboard door to have a look. But however small or large the decluttering, it brings a calmness to our lives and it gives us space both mentally and physically. It's good for us. It doesn't have to be anything huge. Start with something small if you don't like the idea of it. I promise you'll get on a bit of a roll and then before you know it, you'll be doing everything. You could bring the outside in. In the heart of the winter, which is when I'm recording this, it's nice to be reminded that life still grows outside, even though it might all be brown and dead looking. Actually, it's white at the moment with us. Everything is covered in snow or ice. So you forget that there are things growing under the surface. In the Nordics, we bring the outside in all through the year. In the summer, we love to have little vases of wild flowers. You might call them weeds. Things like dandelions. We put those on our windowsills and you'll see people all over the place picking bunches of oxeye daisies, those big yellow, white daisies with the yellow centre, which we have growing everywhere. They're weeds. Lupins, because we are supposed to be picking the lupins. They're not native in Norway. They are a garden escape. Some of them are a garden escape. Some of them actually the Highways Agency sprayed lupin seeds all over the embankments to kind of cover them in something and make it look pretty because they do look absolutely spectacular when they're in flower. But they have taken over. So now if we pick them, that's great because they're on the blacklist here for plants in Norway. Nobody wants them. We're not allowed to buy them. We're not allowed to plant them. But if we pick the flowers, then they're not going to seed. So they're not spreading any further. But we like to have bunches of flowers on our windowsills. And in the autumn and the winter, we can also appreciate nature and bring that inside with us. I like to bring in some beautifully shaped twigs, if I can, and put them in a vase. And as the spring arrives, I cut pussy willow. It's a type of willow that grows by water usually, and it has little tiny fluffy buds. And dogwood, because that comes into leaf quickly, so that I can watch the beginning of the buds forming into leaves. So can the kids. And be reminded that the warmer weather is on the way. You could do something to help other people. If you want that warm, cosy feeling inside, then helping others is the way to do it. Unfortunately, the world is rather full of people only thinking about themselves, isn't it? So helping others in any kind of way is a wonderful antidote to even some of the problems in the world. If we all did one little thing, think how much difference it would make. But if you're thinking that it needs to be some huge expedition to a far-flung destination to dig wells, then you're wrong. Of course, if you have that kind of time and money, that's wonderful. But we can all help in small ways, like donating unwanted things to a charity shop, picking up litter, or taking part in a dugnad. That's a very Nordic thing. I think they also do it in the Baltics. It's a community event where you help clean up a space. So it could be your local sports club, school, park, outdoor centre. Everybody gets together on one day. You have a big clean up that's organised by somebody in charge. And then afterwards you drink some coffee, hot chocolate maybe, have a hot dog, some cakes. It's a very sociable thing. But it will definitely go a long way to making your life feel and look lovely. Less is more. This doesn't only have to apply to the space we live in. Less is more can be everything in our lives. Do we really need another pair of shoes or another blanket? Perhaps wait a week and then decide if you need that. But it can also apply to ourselves. Do we really need to push ourselves to be perfect or to have the perfect home and life? Living a more simple life can be liberating and freeing. It can help us appreciate what we have by having less. More of anything is a weight rather than a freedom. And finally, we can eat well. Making a beautiful and pretty life also includes what goes on inside our bodies. We feel much happier and much more upbeat when our bodies are happy and healthy too. So consider what you're putting into your body every day. Make a conscious effort to eat as healthily as possible and include as many fruit and vegetables as you can. You can eat some fat, that's okay. It's been found that saturated fat, fat from meat and butter is okay. Olive oil is okay. Maybe try and avoid some things that are very processed, ultra processed. We don't want to eat too much of that. But try and eat the rainbow. It sounds romantic, doesn't it? And it can be romantic too. If we include foods with lots of different colours, now this does not include Skittles and Smarties and red velvet cake, I have to say. As colourful as they are not the kind of rainbow I'm talking about. But if we do, our bodies will thank us for it. So, are you ready to make your life even more beautiful than it already is? What are you waiting for? You can start today. And I will see you in the next episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters so you can get an email when I release a new episode. It's a quick and easy way to keep up with all things Nordic living. Please visit livinganordiclife.com. You can listen to Living a Nordic Life on lots of podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and plenty of others. If you've enjoyed the Living a Nordic Life podcast, why not leave me a rating? So that's the end of Living a Nordic Life for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.